Have you thought about making a podcast of your own, but you're not sure where to begin or what the process looks like? Well, I use Anchor because it is the easiest way to make a podcast. They give you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Their creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. And you can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. So download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hello and welcome to Leaflet. Educational research made approachable, made digestible, made brief, made sweet, made absolutely scrumptious like a midnight snack. Today we are reading all the ways of reading. We're not reading, we're discussing. I read the word reading on my screen and it made me say reading. We're discussing all the ways of reading literature, pre-service English teachers' perspectives on disciplinary literacy by Jai Y. Park. Now, this was published by the National Council of Teachers of English in their journal titled English Education. It's volume 45, number 4, published in July 2013. So it's been about 6 years, but this is still relevant. It's still, disciplinary literacy is still something that people are learning about, that is still being implemented rapidly into classrooms. It's still catching on, in a sense, if that makes sense. So it's fun to talk about. So let's jump right into this paper. Park's goal was to explore and analyze the perspectives of pre-service educators on the teaching of disciplinary literacy to adolescents. Over the course of 2 years, she collected projects from students in her teacher preparation program and conducted 6 interviews. She reviewed the interview transcripts and the projects extensively, eventually organizing her students' works and remarks thematically. Now, teaching disciplinary literacy invites students to become active participants in the particular discipline being studied. Historians and linguists are likely to have different approaches to, different ways of reading the same texts. Disciplinary literacy instruction acknowledges this and asks the students exercise reading in a variety of mindsets and with an array of intentions, each correlating to the discipline being studied generally. The primary goal of disciplinary literacy instruction is to increase student achievement across areas of content. A student with a passion for literature must learn how to read proofs analytically as a mathematician and to question validity of claims and context as a historian in order to thrive academically in general. Furthermore, this increased flexibility of perspective allows students to question the work of each discipline as a knowledge-generating researcher in that field might, rather than to accept as fact all information and interpretation presented to them in the classroom. Park requires that her pre-service teachers, in their reflections on disciplinary literacy instruction, try out a new medium or genre in order to ensure depth of learning and encourage creative reconstruction of their beliefs. Now, this reminds me, and if you are a fan of this show, if you've been listening consistently, you might know what I'm going to talk about. This reminds me of Bentley's Supernovas and Superheroes, examining unfamiliar genres and teachers' pedagogical content knowledge, in which it is argued that exposure to unfamiliar genres improves student writing proficiency, and that ELA teachers should write in unfamiliar genres as a means of developing further pedagogical content knowledge. In fact, reading with the intent of increasing pedagogical content knowledge is one example of disciplinary literacy in action. It's just inverted because you're a reader. Reader intent informs both navigation, retention, and interpretation. I said both, but that's 3 things, when reading informative text. While many of Park's pre-service teachers recognize the value of teaching disciplinary literacy, they also express concerns about their abilities to actually instruct accordingly, given the diverse background knowledge of students in public schools. Perhaps predisposition outweighs one's ability to take the role of an active member in each discipline studied and to read relevant texts accordingly. It is also worth noting that a strong focus on disciplinary literacy may not be compatible with the cognitive flexibility expected of adolescent students. Students transition from one discipline to another throughout the day, anywhere from 4 to 8 times. You're a scientist and the bell rings, and then you're a historian and the bell rings, and then you're Then you're a literary analysis and the bell rings, and then it's PE and you're throwing frisbees and you don't know what's going on. it may not be appropriate to expect their methods as readers to switch so seamlessly. Park closes by suggesting further research on the active use of disciplinary literacy instruction, focusing not only on what students take away from disciplinary learning communities, but also what they bring into them. What a wholesome note to end on, Park. Thank you. This has been Leaflet, Educational Research Made Approachable. If you would like to read the article, All the Ways of Reading Literature, Pre-Service English Teachers' Perspectives on Disciplinary Literacy in full, it's only 24 pages. If you'd like to read it in full, the link will be in the description below. And we'll see you next week.